Yeah, so the the title of today's episode, Collect and Send. I meant to do collections and send, but it's going to be collect and send. Collect your passwords, put them in your groups, manage them with your organizations, send them to whoever you want. That's where it's at. So, covering 3 things today. Folders and search. Okay, that's one. Organizations and send. Hopefully you can take something away from this. I was definitely going through it, and I had no idea what send was until I went over it. So if not anything, you can take something away from send. No, it's not via email. It's a link. Okay. Getting into folders and search here. I really don't have much to say on these. It's the easiest way to logically manage your passwords, identities, credit cards, what have you. I don't know how anyone could get along without using folders, honestly. If you're one of those people that just... I have 387 items in my vault. 387. Not... Like, that's almost 400 right there. If I didn't use folders, I would be absolutely lost. So, we can take a look at the upstream. Now, granted, I only have a handful of folders. It's like 6. And each item has like 20. So, yeah, there are a lot of floating around passwords out there. But... folders are the essence of organization. They allow you to logically group items for, imagine this, organization. Essentially, the upstream documentation provides great documentation on this. I wasn't going to even do it justice on this documentation, so I linked directly to it. The one thing I love about Bitwarden, I think it just comes standard with most services. You can create unlimited subfolders as you want. So you can just keep nesting subfolders of passwords, just getting deeper and deeper. Now, I'm one of those people that, I have, like I said, my 6 folders, home lab, like AWS, like personal emails, because I have, guess what, more than one email account. And I just go, all right, need this email password today or whatever, logging into this one. But within those, it basically breaks down your view into only viewing those items. So you're not looking at your root directory with who knows how many passwords in there, which, if you ask me, makes it really nice because some of this stuff ends up being scoped. So like for my home lab, for an example, I do have passwords in there, and sometimes it's just easier for me to, instead of remembering a server name, going through and clicking my home lab folder and then searching from there because it's already broken down, rather than, all right, what was the name of that server again? What was the name of that application password I needed? And it's like, if I start to search for it, the search functionality is there, but truthfully, if I don't know what I'm looking for, I'm never going to find it. Now, if it's scoped and I say it's in that folder, I'm going to have direct access to it right there. I'm going to be like, oh, all right, I'm scrolling through 20 items instead of 400, which just makes it a lot easier.
The flip side of that, I did want to point out, is that if you're in a folder and start searching for something outside the folder, it will return nothing.
Good luck.
Which is confusing as all get out until you realize, oh yeah, that's right.
I'm in a folder.
Inside of a folder. Yeah.
So it makes really, folders just make all vault items easy to find. If you don't have any kind of organization and you have a Bitwarden instance out there, first step I would take after setting up your account and maybe changing it to the theme to dark would be set up your folders, because it's so much easier to get organized first and go from there than it is to dump, import all your passwords and go, all right, well, it's working, it's working now. Because unfortunately what happens, and I have seen this with myself, is that you set up your instance, you import your passwords, and you go, yes, it's working. And then you literally do not set up folders, or you don't set up folders. You set them up for what you need. So you end up having a bunch in that root directory, and then you're just kind of stuck. I don't want to say in limbo, but you're basically having to recall from memory what account you actually need to look up. And
now that's pretty easy if I log on to Citibank and I type in Citi, right? And it makes it even easier if I got the URI that matches up there and it just pops up in my browser
Sure.
add-on. That makes it even easier. Where it gets confusing is when, like, how we keep the vault passwords in there.
Right.
We have many vault passwords in there, right? And having to sift through the entirety of my vault, excuse me, having to sift through the entirety of my vault to find them is tedious.
A
it's
nightmare.
not terrible,
yeah.
but it's tedious, and it's worth it for me to create folders. Now, it's a value proposition, though. I mean, if you're not going to use it, if you're simply going to use search and you're just using it for website logins, I mean, that could work. I mean, there's no reason that you have to create folders. There's no reason that you have to, put them, even have multi-level folders, right? Because I mean, you could as well make the argument that you should change up you should subdivide your folders, and you don't even have to do that, right? Where it comes in handy, though, I'll tell you, is understanding how that is split up so that you can split them up with organizations and collections.
Absolutely.
And I'll let you go over that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'll note here, I'll just jump into organizations. Bitwarden organizations add a layer of collaboration and sharing to password management for, your family, your team, your enterprise, basically allowing you to securely share common information like Office, share any kind of password with a team is essentially what organizations are trying to get at. And you can do this securely is their big value prop. It's all right. You can share password with your team if you're both on Bitwarden, and Andrew and I end up doing this for Compositional Enterprises. He just mentioned it. We have our Vault passwords, our Compose bot passwords, and some of the passwords out there for shared logons. Now collections. So that at a very high brief level, that's what an organization is. Basically an item in Bitwarden, I'll say, that connects two identities and then allows them to share passwords. So within organizations, you get collections. And collections are similar to folders in that they provide a way to logically group items for your organization. Again, I'll say it, pointing right to the Bitwarden upstream. They have great documentation for collections and how they work. But they have this great quote that I pulled. It's, think of collections as organization equivalents to the folders used to organize a personal vault with a few key differences. And this is really kind of where the important part is. Organizations control access to organization-owned items by assigning users or groups to collections. Organization-owned items must be included in at least one collection. So every item collected under an organization has to belong to a collection. And if you sign in and you're used to Bitwarden and you have an organization already out there, you may notice when you sign into your instance, you're actually going to see, I believe it's all items, trash. You're going to see types, which gives you, login, card, identity, secure note. You're going to see your folders, and then you're going to see organization collections. So for my I do run a personal Bitwarden. I do not have collections just because I'm solo user on there. It's just me. But for this, when I log into our Compositional Enterprises, because I don't, I'm not going to keep my personal password. I'm not going to hold. Where was I going with this? I'm not going to hold all my personal on an organization account, if that makes sense. Essentially, when I log in, I don't have I have the screenshot up there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't have folders set up in my, I'll say, our organization account. I have if you look, I have all the collections.
Correct.
I blacked out all our collections just because, didn't want to give anyone any ideas. I think Andrew mentioned the Vault Pass, the Vault Pass for environment instances, which are ours and that we maintain. So our Compositional Enterprises Vault Pass, in case we'd have to go through and update any kind of environment variable, maybe a Rails key, development key, or production key. But I thought I'd get you with that one. But within the organization, you have that ability to create a collection and then create passwords and share those passwords. And the one thing I'll note here that I did see between Vault Warden and Bitwarden, kind of a small item here is that organization passwords, you can share them and they show up as a shared icon. I think on the upstream Bitwarden, it shows as they have a different icon. It shows, so I have a picture, you know, our podcast for being the pictures and graphs podcasts. But I have in our Booksack documentation, if you guys want to go out and take a look, essentially it shows the shared button. And on the upstream, I think it has maybe like a square or something to notify that, to kind of notify you and recognize and like, you know, help you to know that, hey, this is an organizational account. It shows up just as a different icon, something very small. Along those same lines, in compositional enterprise instances, easy to share with an organization. Essentially, you click on your password, you click the little settings button next to the password, and you hit share, and you can just share it directly to an organization. Makes it very easy.
So now the one thing I did want to note is that when you share something with an organization, as if I shared it with you.
Yeah.
When I shared it with the organization,
sure,
you being part of the organization, it shows up in your vault as an entry.
Correct.
So there are reasons why the folders and the collections are split out.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if you go into all items you look at all your items, you're going to see your personal stuff as well as your shared stuff. And that's where when Jack creates his keys and doesn't share them with the organization, it's not immediately apparent because it's in his general vault. Right. That it actually requires him to go and share it once with the organization. And then once he does, it shows up in my vault as a native entry. Right. It as we were talking about, it does have that shared icon to indicate that it's been shared, but it does show up in my all items. It's not like they're segmented out. When you look at all the items, I can have my personal items living side by side with my shared
at that
items.
root directory, littered with both.
So that's where at least having some kind of folder and collection structure comes into play, because then you can say, at least let me separate out into folders, mine, and then the collections into someone else's. Right. That is going to be the easiest way to do it. And even when I get shared an item, it can be in a collection, and I can also put it in a folder of mine. Right. So I have a folder that's automatically created called no folder. And everything that I haven't put into a folder gets shared into that no folder, which is confusing. But hear me out. The entries that are shared with me by Jack get put in my vault. Right. And my vault, everything is in a folder in my vault, whether it's in a collection or not. It's going to be in a folder, right? Either it's going to be like in this uncategorized no folder, not put into a folder yet. Or it's going to be something that I put into one of my other folders. And that's how this works. It's almost like this 4-dimensional organizational structure that Bitwarden has to have set up in order to incorporate the ability to organize passwords personally that have been shared within the organization. So you can not only have a password shared in an organization be in this organization collection, but you would also be able to categorize it yourself using your folder system. Right. So I can have the same password in like my rComposeBot folder, because I have a personal rComposeBot folder that every time Jack creates rComposeBot somewhere else and shares the password with me, I put it in that folder, and he has already also put it in that rComposeBot collection. Correct. Right. So I can see those entries 2 different places. The way I manage it in my folders that only affect me personally, or in the collections that affect both of us and how we both see it. So even if I put something in an rComposeBot collection and say it's not an rComposeBot thing, right? Yeah. Jack can choose to put that wherever he wants in his own his own personal folders. He can put it in whatever personal folder he wants, but he's going to put it, it's going to be in that collection when it shows up for him. Obviously, he can move it around to different collections or whatnot, but the collection that it comes in does not dictate the folder. The folders are always going to be personal, and the collections are what's shared. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that because that was a big thing that got me when you and I first started sharing passwords. I would put it in the collection and not even realize that it was
could be moved.
Just getting thrown anywhere in your personal setting. I was like, well, go to the folder, and you're like, it's not there. I'm like, how? It's in my folder. Why is it in your folder?
Your folders are personal, right? Right.
Exactly. My folder is personal, right?
So that's the big thing to know. That's the key thing to note. You take away one thing besides send is a link and not an email. You take away that collections are for organizations and folders are for individual users.
Correct. Yeah, I'd go with that. And speaking of send, what is send?
Mind blowing.
It is really. Okay. How does this work then?
All right. Send is a secure and ephemeral way to transmit sensitive information to anyone. Boom. Mind blowing. Love this. I immediately thought it was going to be like link an SMTP server. I was like, oh, killing me. But no, it's awesome because you can just email the link to someone and say, hey, yo, check this link out. I got it. I got my secure note up on the on my Bitwarden instance. But sends can include plain text or file attachments up to 500 meg, half a gig. That's a lot that's a lot if you ask me, or 100 if you're creating it from mobile. And every send is assigned a randomly generated and secure link, which can be shared with anyone. So really, that's the key thing you're taking away. You can upload file or text, and you can create it. It generates some random link. You send the link to someone, and bada bing, bada boom, some magic goes on, and there is a link that can have an expiration date, can have a deletion date. You basically share this thing. It can be viewed one time. You create it, and essentially you can send it to anyone to send that secure note to them.
Yeah, it's what we were talking about before. I mean, in wherever your community resides, right? Whether that's in Slack, whether that's in Discord, whether that's in Matrix, I don't care. You can share a link with people. That is fundamentally how the internet works. So this is going to be easy, whether it's going to be email or not.
Yeah, you're sharing that secure note, and I want to make a note of this. Every send has three things, and is three things. It's end-to-end encrypted. It's dynamically ephemeral, and it's customizably private.
I wonder if you could print out QR codes for these. If you could generate and print out QR codes for these and stick them different places in the city.
The link.
Yeah.
You can generate a QR code from the link, and the link could just link to this. So yeah, absolutely.
And you have so you said it also has like a one-time use kind of.
I believe it does. It's okay. Yeah, maximum access count.
Okay. Oh, even nicer. So you could have like the first 10 people to scan this QR code get access to that's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
So, and then you can add a password to it as well. So a lot of awesome features with this, but I'm telling you, I really thought when I initially opened this, it was going to lead me to an email link and ask me to configure SMTP. So I'm glad I explored this one. It just generates a link for you dynamically, kind of on the fly, does some encryption with it, and then says, hey, you want to send this link to somebody, and this is the data that you want to send. Here's your link, and if you need a password on it, here you go. If you need it to expire, here you go. And if you need them to access it only one time, we can do that. So a lot of cool features with it.
To be fair, Nextcloud does do a very similar thing with files.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be more useful when it comes
file sharing.
To,
absolutely.
Yeah, for file sharing, for any kind of public gallery access, anything like that. That's going to be a lot more useful. I would definitely recommend if send is going to be your main use case for Bitwarden rather than storing passwords, I would recommend against it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be it's going to be a little bit lighter weight than Nextcloud, but man, can you do so much more with Nextcloud?
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is really cool though. This is cool to know that it's built in and available to us here.
Yeah, and you know what? One real quick thing before I wrap up on Send. It's a great feature. The one thing I noticed is that's a bit odd, or kind of threw me off a bit, is you can't directly share a password, if that makes sense. So when I saw Send, I was immediately thinking, all right, I'm going to create a test item in my vault, and I want to hit send to this, and I'm going to share this link with someone to a password. It actually will not let you do that. It's almost strictly for text. So if you want to copy a password and send it to somebody or share it as a link, you're going to have to actually this is how I would do it. Open up 2 tabs. You're going to click one for send and one for your vault item. You're going to open the vault item. You're going to copy your password. Then you're going to open that send page up, set your parameters and input that password if you wanted to share it with someone. Maybe set the access count to 1. Just kind of the one kind of quirky or odd thing I found. I was expecting to be able to share passwords from collections or passwords from wherever, and maybe it's good that they don't allow you to do it by default just for security's sake, but just kind of something I thought would be a cool feature to have in there.
Yeah, you don't want someone to accidentally hit the wrong button and share all of your passwords. So I could see that.
But just sharing one even. But
I mean, yeah.
I get it. I get it. So there's definitely a security stance for it.
Have you tried doing this from the add-on or from the mobile version?
I have not. No, I just created it in the web. The web UI there.
Well, sounds like something I should include on my next video.
I agree. I think Send is available on both. Obviously, it's on mobile, and then it is here in the web add-on, but I have not explored either of those. I just introduced to it, honestly. When I was looking into it, I thought it was email, but yeah.
Yeah, so if you're interested in how Send works, I will be exploring that. I guess. I mean, that's the next logical thing for me to dive into in depth and say, all right, this is how Send works. So that's going to go up on our YouTube channel. You can find us, look for rcompose. We have all our intro videos.
Yeah.
We have all these podcasts actually up there as well. So if YouTube is more convenient for you, I don't know why, because RSS is just about as convenient as it gets. But if YouTube, for some reason, is more convenient for you, we also post these podcasts up there, as well as all of the integration session videos that we do.
Yep. Absolutely. Go check those out. But that's all I had for this week. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to add or if you want to jump into some Scrum Ban here.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a good segue.
So, a good segue. I feel like we've been on our segues tonight. Andrew is going to dive into it. No, I'm just joking.
We've been riding our segues through this podcast.
We have, we haven't said dive in yet this episode. So
oh yeah, we have. Oh,
have
we totally have. I guarantee we have.
I haven't.
We don't get through
the first 5 minutes without saying dive.
5 minutes without diving into something.
No. Okay. So that was Send, and I think now Andrew's going to send us right into our grab bag here with Scrum Ban.